Jai Hind, everybody. Uh, I think today you'll be very fortunate to listen to a real professional uh, who has been expert in the field in which is going to speak. And this subject actually assumes much more importance, especially in the current geopolitical context and ongoing activities related to Operation Sindhu. Though India per se has no interest to further escalate and join the battle, but then if the adversary does so, we don't have any choices. And out of Army, Navy, and Air Force, the force disparity between us and Pakistan is maximum in the Indian Navy, and therefore that is the one which has got the strategic edge. Is orchestrated as and when. Of course, this time when the ships were moved in the Arabian Sea, it was part of the exercise itself and was done. But then, number of things got coincided. In fact, once you do the integrities of, other activities which were, planned, they were planned not knowing that, a thing of this kind will happen. But I think, that they were saying, that at times your stars also align to the, your future. So a lot of good things, whether for the military, for the Air Force, or for the Navy, which happened, and we could do this stellar performance. I'm also grateful to Dr. Sinha to search him and get him here. Of course, it was that she wanted to sit her own lecture to a later date, but that notwithstanding, I would request you to please introduce this speaker.
Good morning, everybody. Captain Kamlesh Agnihotri is a retired naval officer and is presently a senior fellow at the National Maritime Foundation, or NMF, for more than 3 years. Prior to this assignment, he was a senior fellow over here at the Center for Joint Warfare Studies, New Delhi, from October 2018 till his retirement in June 2021. His specialized field of work for close to 2 decades has been on Chinese defense forces, particularly the Chinese Navy. His current areas of studies also include the complex dynamics in the broader Indo-Pacific region, Indian Ocean security matters, Chinese high technology-based maritime developments, and India-China relations. He has published almost 9 books, written chapters in other books, and penned down research articles in the various think tanks across India, including the Synergy Journal of CENJOWS. His 2 most notable solo authored books on China are Leveraging High Technology Developments in Chinese Military and Maritime Domains, Impact on the Indian Ocean Region Security, which he published in 2021, and second, Strategic Direction of the Chinese Navy, Capability and Intent Assessment, which he published in 2015. He was awarded the prestigious Taiwan Ministry of Foreign Affairs Fellowship in 2024 and was a visiting fellow at National Chengchi University, Taipei. He is a naval gunnery and missile specialist. He is a qualified remote sensing analyst and satellite imagery interpreter. He has also acquired advanced diploma in Chinese language to complement his research work.
Yes. Alius.
Honorable Director General, sir, it is indeed a huge honor to come back to the Center for Joint Warfare Studies, where, as she said, I have spent 2.5 very productive years, which resulted in many scholarly works being done, including the book that I wrote for NMF that she has talked about was while I was in CENJOWS. So the big thank you to the previous Director General also for guiding me in writing that book. And that book has become quite a reference, I would say, document for various high technology related defense usage cases, particularly the cases with regard to the Navy in the Chinese modernization program. So today's presentation, of course, is I had given 3 topics: Chinese Navy in the Indian Ocean region, which is discussed very widely at various forums in various think tanks across the world. So that topic is very common. The second topic, of course, was a high technology thing. Again, that was not really finding the flavor of the season, as Director General said. In the background of the Operation Sindoor, Pakistan had to come in, and because I am a maritime person, it had to be part of the India's maritime neighborhood, where Chinese influence is coming in. So that is the part of my presentation, and I would just like to acknowledge two special guests who have come presumably only to listen to me. Both are Koreans from RIMC, Dehradun. He was my immediate senior, and he ensured that I get a little less racked in school. Commander Deepak Adhar, and Pradeep Singh, of course, a little junior, but very, very accomplished person in his own right. So, with those acknowledgements over and behind us, now I'll come to the presentation person. Next, how am I supposed to be operating it? Is there a seconds?
I also can do it.
No, because there are some animations. So to set the context, I will briefly discuss the increase in the Chinese maritime presence and activities in the broader context of IUR. After that, I'll narrow down my subject to the growing Chinese influence in India's maritime neighborhood. And maritime is the key word because me being a maritime person, while the subject is geopolitical, I'll concentrate a little more on the maritime aspects. And immediate neighborhood, as I had previously, I'll come back to it, is obviously Pakistan, Maldives, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and Bangladesh. A little bit of analysis on what could be the impact of Indian maritime security interests and some counter response strategies that India could follow. So prior to the presentation per se, I'll just make you revisit this particular slide. Again, we have seen it in various forums. The Indian Ocean region, it's a pretty, I would say, locked kind of a place where entry and egress can be only through certain choke points. The choke points are marked there. The vastness of the region is shown down below, and the kind of traffic that passes is shown on top. So I presume all of you are aware of this. This slide gets shown in different colors and different schemes in many places. The important point here is the 6-degree channel, which is just short of Strait of Malacca. And another map that I would like to put out to you here is the marking of India's primary areas of interest and the India's secondary areas of interest. Because in the context of India's maritime neighborhood, the impact on these areas of interest, which are very well officially documented in India's maritime doctrine of 2009, as well as India's maritime security strategy of 2015, are marked here. If you see primary area of interest, of course, it is the broader Indian Ocean region, and the secondary areas of interest are going much larger. In fact, they conflate generally with the Indo. Of course, not going as far as the west coast of the USA, but they are going to the Central Pacific. They are going well down to Antarctic, and they are going well west of the subcontinent also. It should have been, because these arcs can't be made exact, so it's a very generic kind of a representation. Otherwise, Angola, etc., Nigeria, they are all coming over secondary areas of interest. So, if that is the Indian Ocean region, and if we look at China as to what it is trying to actually come in here, because context is China coming to the Indian Ocean region, then I'll narrow down. So, what could be the imperatives? Of course, securing maritime interests and endeavors for China is the main and stated motive, and this is articulated in many of their white papers, defense white papers. But what is not written is the need for the growing powers to find large operating space, particularly so that if they are present in those areas, they can leverage their presence to positively shape the environment to suit the China's national interest. If you are not present, if you are far away, and if you have to come from somewhere else, by the time you land up there 7 to 10 days, the crisis will be over, or crisis may be leveraged by some other proximate powers. So if you're a large operating power and if you want to have superpower ambitions, then you want to be present in all such global hotspots so that your presence can immediately be leveraged. And if this be the imperative for China to come in, then what are the activities through which it can do it? Of course, it is traditional role for the PLA Navy, that is the combat role, and the non-traditional activities and the activities in support of national maritime interests. Now, what happens is the any Navy ships are very well, they are quite flexible in their role play. In fact, the navies can play a diplomatic role, they can play law and order role, they can play benign roles, and they can also, play, I would say, the combat, of course, as I said. So they can seamlessly change depending on the requirement, what role they are expected to perform at a certain point in time. So I'll quickly go through each of these roles. And see, military presence is anti-piracy escort mission. We all know since 2008 it is going on. 47th task force is deployed of Gulf of Aden and of Somalia. The point to note here is that the average time away from base port for the Chinese ships in one task force is more than 6.5 months. Now, I being in the maritime domain and we all being in maritime domain, know how difficult it is to maintain ships for 6.5 months. Indian Navy started doing it for 2 months, then it came down to 1 month, then we again started doing 2 months, then there were 2 ships, then we reduced it to 1 ship. So when you are just giving the figure with regard to a comparative assessment as to how difficult it is to maintain 3 ships on station all the time for more than 6.5 months away from their base port. It's a huge commendable achievement. And because they are there, they obviously bring certain military capabilities along with them. Then the continual submarine deployment since December 2013. Initially, they used to inform India and then inform US and other stakeholders that tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, that we are sending these ships, submarines, and for what? For anti-piracy operations. Just can't be believed. Submarines are not for anti-piracy operations, but tongue-in-cheek. They will simply do it. After some time, submarines being stealth platforms, they stopped informing us. So while submarines are supposedly there, but they are not really known to us officially. Then there is Aman and Sea Guardian series of exercises with Pakistan. Aman is, of course, a multilateral exercise, but hosted by Pakistan, so I put it in the same group. Then the Joint Sea exercise with Russia. Now, Russia, one coast is on the Pacific side, but Chinese make it a point to send the ships all the way to the Baltic coast. And obviously, they can't reach Baltic, just like that. They have to travel through the Indian Ocean and from the India's maritime areas of interest, some of them primary areas. Similarly, Joint Sea exercise with Russia, the Mediterranean, I just covered that. Joint exercise with Russia and South Africa, off South Africa. Joint exercise with Russia and Iran in the Gulf of Oman. Those of you who are generally okay with current affairs and read the international relations page of the newspaper, you would already know this. Okay. Various symbolic exercises just to show that we are all over the Indian Ocean. So they go into Java Islands, Indonesia. Djibouti, we all know, the base has been there. And Djibouti has got they have constructed a jetty of more than 300 meters capable of berthing a aircraft carrier itself. So if this is in preparation for whenever an aircraft carrier group of Chinese aircraft carrier group comes into Indian Ocean, it will be there. And at any time, there are 10 to 12 ships, naval ships, as well as civil support ships or auxiliary ships in the Indian Ocean region. And a high point, that 19 ships is written, I have got a slide on that. This was particularly in a quarter of June to August 2017. Then you say so many ships in the place. There were 2 anti-piracy task forces, one deployed, one returning from the Mediterranean. At that moment, there was a joint sea exercise group which was coming back from Russia. There was the OVR group. That was very interesting. President Xi Jinping launched this concept of OVOR, and then he decided to send a group of 3 ships around the maritime Silk Route. The ships were also supposed to come to Cochin, and just as an anecdotal thing, me being into the China studies for a very, very long time, I was expected to be going to Cochin to board these ships for a visit. It just so happened that the ships never came, and I did lose my 1 day, I would say, booking amount in the hotel, because the hotel refused to. Last moment they cancelled it. So India said that we will allow the ships to come to Cochin, but we will not allow you to do the publicity with regard to the One Belt One Road (BRI) Maritime Silk Road thing. So they were hanging around in Colombo waiting for clearances from India. They never came, and they went straight to Karachi after that. Okay, so those ships were there. There is a Peace Ark hospital ship hanging around. There was a survey ship south of Madagascar. International Seabed Authority has given them 10,000 square kilometers of area for deep sea water survey there. So ships are always there. And there are obviously in collection ships. There was submarine. Submarine never operates alone. So it was there with a submarine support ship. In fact, if there is a submarine support ship hanging around in the Indian Ocean region or near India, you know that there is a submarine around. Okay, because otherwise it has no role. So that time in June to August, 17 ships were there. Of course, that was the high point. Notwithstanding, there are at any time, I just said, 10 to 12 ships, PLA Navy plus auxiliaries plus support ships present in the Indian Ocean. So, but combat role for Navy ships is okay. It is quite rare, though it is not such a rarity in the present circumstances. So, while ships are not being employed for combat role, what are they being employed for? How does the Chinese Navy keep themselves, I would say, operationally ready and keep their crew ready? So they engage in military activities other than war. It's a common term. It is for the Army also. For the Navy, it manifests itself in these kind of roles. We have also been doing it, like Chinese civilians were pulled out from Libya, Yemen, and Sudan. Even Indian Navy and Indian Air Force did it. But they are doing it for their personnel and for some other. They wanted to do a deep search into the Andaman Sea, particularly when the MH370 aircraft went down without world exactly knowing where it went down. But Chinese wanted to do the search in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Indian Navy said, what do you want to search for? We will search for you and we will tell you the results, because we don't want them hanging around all over the place. Then the LPDs and MLPs. MLP is the Maritime Landing Platform. They are of civilian variety. They often visit Djibouti for taking construction material, for bringing equipment, tanks, trucks, troops, and a whole lot of things. Peace Ark hospital ship, I'll come back to it later, because it is a huge epitome of how the China tries to push its soft power narrative with regard to the mission harmony, wherein it does some first aid diplomacy kind of thing, or band-aid diplomacy. Okay, a little bit of treating some people, taking photographs and photo ops, those kind of things. And then there are the training ships visits. And Indian Ocean littorals post anti-piracy deployment, a lot of visitors there. Ships are not in any hurry to go back after they finish their deployment in the Gulf of Aden and I started plotting as to after the anti-piracy deployment, where all do the ships go in the Indian Ocean region? And now the 7th task force is running. This plot continued for some time till after some time I stopped because it became too dense. Whole picture became too dense. They are visiting ports repeatedly and they are visiting many times. They are doing it for various other purposes, exercises, etc. So at certain point I stopped, but this is sufficient to give you a picture as to how the Chinese are spreading their influence into the complete Indian Ocean littoral, and most part of it is obviously in the India maritime neighborhood, as you can see. And that I was talking about, Chinese maritime interest in the Indian Ocean region. While you can read most of the points, the point that I want to highlight, of course, is the deep sea exploration in the Southwest Indian Ocean Ridge. That is the ISBA allotted site of 10,000 square kilometers. And deployment of their other ships, specialized ships, particularly the space telemetry and tracking ships and intelligence collection ships, because these ships have got specialized role and they have a huge impact on us, as we will come back to it. So with this kind of a background, now I narrow down the focus. You have got the bigger picture of the what Chinese intent is in the Indian Ocean region in very brief. That it is a presentation itself in its own right. So this is the Indian neighborhood maritime neighborhood that I want to cover, and particularly give you a small brief insight into what is the kind of Chinese influence which is going into each of these countries. So Pakistan first, obviously. Before that, what does it manifest in? Chinese so-called influence, increasing influence. What does it manifest in? It manifests in various and in various states. So there is political support for some countries in multilateral forums, UN Security Council and other bodies. Then there is economic support, very well known, grants, soft loans. Then construction development of dual-use infrastructure under BRI, supposedly under BRI, but that's how we know. CPEC for Pakistan and rest of it is Maritime Silk Road in other countries. Supply of military platforms, equipment, weapons, military exercises, joint training, maritime survey, and deep sea research support. The last point may look very innocuous, but that is very, very important, particularly with regard to maritime security concerns for India. So now Pakistan. Political support in United Nations Security Council, we all know, they keep opposing whenever we try and call for certain organizations to be declared as terror organizations or certain individuals as terrorists. They always oppose it or veto a proposal which is tabled in United Nations Security Council. Economic support at IMF, we just saw what happened during of Sindoor itself. Despite all our opposition, they managed to get their loan from International Monetary Fund because there is a Chinese representation also in the board of directors there. And we have been seeing that in the Asian Development Bank as well as the World Bank supported activities, the Chinese representation at the higher leadership is always favoring the economic cause of Pakistan. Then CPEC investment, we all know initially it started with $40 billion. There are figures to quote that it has gone up to $65 billion also, but then I'm just sticking to the official figure. Some people say that Chinese are having double mind with regard to the return on investment, but all the same, we are as of now taking it that so much of money is sunk in, and because of that, there is a lot of interest China has in Pakistan, which it cannot just shy away from. Construction operation of Gwadar Port and associated infrastructure, airport and SEZ. Our airport has come up, very scantily used, but all the same, now that infrastructure is there, China is duty bound to remain invested in both in the money wise as well as personnel wise, and try and get business for the port. Funding and construction of dams, hydroelectric projects. You know, the Jhelum hydroelectric project on Neelam River and the Daimler Basha Dam, which is on the Indus River. And again, Chinese personnel are there, Chinese money is there, and these kind of things are happening. I'm covering it one by one because these are important, and Pakistan is more important. We will cover the rest of them faster. The access to restricted mode of Peitao satellite navigation system. Now, just to give you a background, Peitao satellite navigation system attained global coverage in 2020, and it is an alternate to US based satellite navigation system, which we all use for Google Earth, Google Drive, Google Maps, everything. Chinese are using their own dedicated system, and restricted mode of the signal allows them various advantages, including precision strike. And I will come back later as to why there was a narrative with regard to PL-15 supposedly hitting one of our aircraft, and aircraft did not even know. If it is true, then the Chinese Peitao navigation system and restricted mode of access to this thing would have played a great role. It is speculation, but I guess it's informed speculation. Active support to Pak nuclear ballistic missile program. I don't have to explain it. all their Hutch series of tactical missiles, their Shaheen, their Ababil, their support is all over the place. Construction of submarine rebuild complex in Ormara. There is a coastal city, small village called Ormara. And this is an ambitious program of Pakistan, wherein they want to, in future, build a nuclear submarine. And this submarine rebuild complex is the initial infrastructure which is being created for Pakistan to build a nuclear submarine. Every country has its aspirations. We will see where it goes. And then supply of military platforms and equipment and weapons, very known thing. Military exercises, I just mentioned two of them, Sea Guardian and this thing, and submarine visits off and on. And just to elaborate the point further, or belabor the point further, that this slide says everything with regard to 80% or 81% of the Pakistani defense equipment is from China. And if you look at the lower one, 63% of China's export of weapons and arms is to Pakistan. So this says a picture on its own. I mean, I don't have to explain it, but I still took 1 minute on it. That is the quantum of China-Pakistan defense trade, in a way you can call it. Now coming to other things, major military platforms and arms, I have mentioned very few. If 81% is there, obviously what I have shown is not 81%, but major platforms I have shown, armies, armored vehicles, RT, a whole lot of other things. AD systems, why AD systems I have mentioned because we supposedly managed to shoot down their HQ9, and there are some reports of HQ16 also. Aircraft, we all know. Again, J-10 was in limelight with regard to Operation Sindoor. Navy, various frigates, corvettes, helicopters. Here, particularly, I want to mention that 4 new frigates have come. Top of the line frigates China has given to them. That is called 054A Chiang Kai class. And 8 in number UN AIP submarines have been ordered. And the picture down below shows the Pakistani vice chief is sitting right in the middle. Okay, this is the launch of the second of the UN class submarines this year in March, basically last month. Okay. Then military exercises and joint training, just given the names. Navy, of course, is we have put Aman and Sea Guardian. Last Sea Guardian exercise was in November of 2023, wherein 5 Chinese ships came. There are 3 frontline ships, 1 destroyer, 2 frigates, 1 submarine, and 1 submarine support ship came. Song class submarine came. And Army and Air Force, some of your Army officers and Air Force officers, you know better. For brevity's sake, I'll just leave it at that. And then ship and submarine visits, they are related to the previous point, but notwithstanding, I wanted to put it as a separate bullet because there are also ships which are coming other than for the exercises. And that is a photograph on the right. It just shows a Chinese frigate there for the exercise Aman of 2023. I couldn't find a good enough photograph for 2025. The exercise took place in February of this year. So Sri Lanka. That diplomacy, we know how it has worked out. Amantota, everybody is a very known case. Construction of Rajapaksa International Airport at Matala. Not even 1 passenger comes there, and not even 1 aircraft comes there. China is desperately trying to. It's been termed as a ghost airfield or ghost airport. Okay. Funding expansion of Gal Harbor project, funding and construction of Colombo whole huge project. Port City, SEZ, container terminal, and PLA Navy ship submarine visits to various ports. They want to visit all over the place. They want to go to Trincomalee, they want to go to Colombo. Colombo is fine. Colombo is on the international sea lane route. Why Trincomalee? Because Trincomalee is lies towards the Bay of Bengal. You see, there is devil in each detail. Okay, and it has to be seen in that context. So repeated deployment of Yuan Wang. Every time we want to do some missile test, Yuan Wang set sail. Okay, we'll discuss that a little later. Operation of survey ships at Sri Lanka's request. Again, a slide is coming up. And supply of military equipment, aircraft and weapons, obviously. Right from initial days when I was in MI Directorate, we used to say Karakoram K8 have been supplied, JF7 have been supplied, older Those are the older ones. So it's not that the thing has come up new. It's been there for last 20-25 years. Okay. And now coming to this, I don't know if you can see the this ship, Shrayan 6 survey ship was called at the request of Colombo, and you see its track down below. Where is Colombo and what is the track of the ship in November of 2023? It goes so deep into the Bay of Bengal, right next to Chennai. It has no business going there if it has been called by Colombo. But you see how they utilize the, I would say, loopholes and the very broad articles of UNCLOS to say that we are outside your territorial waters, exclusive economic zone. We are outside, in fact, your EZ also. It looks very close, but it is 270 miles away. Yeah, okay. And this, okay, freedom of the sea, ICs. But if it has been called by or doing survey for Sri Lankan waters, why is it going there? Again, they will in the detail. Okay. Yuan Wang, the international says that before testing any, I would say, equipment over longer ranges or any equipment which affects air traffic or ship traffic, 15 days before notice to mariners and notice to airmen has to be issued. 15 days is enough for China to send a ship, satellite tele tracking ship and intelligence collection ship from there to. It takes actually 7 to 10 days. We have all been there. We have all gone to right till China and Japan. One of the saying why we joined the Navy was, join the Navy, see the world. So on our naval ships, we did see some world, including Shanghai, Qingdao, and we also went to Japan. That is besides the point. What I'm saying is, it takes 7 to 10 days to come to Indian Ocean. So the ship is there. Once the ship is there, it is everything is open for its monitoring. So these are the points. We did protest to Sri Lanka quite a bit, and Sri Lanka said, okay, 1 year moratorium, we will not allow these ships to come in. But then moratorium has expired. Thankfully, in the last 5 months since it has expired, no ship has come there, though a training ship has come there, of course. So then Bangladesh. Grants and soft loans are there everywhere, of course. Funding and construction of the Chittagong deep water port, construction of friendship bridges. Bangladesh, she will know, has got so many, it is interested with various rivers and river tributaries. A lot of bridges have been built by China. She has also given me a lot of details on how deep China is into their economic, industrial, maritime, as well as military, how deeply it has inserted itself in all these things. Then supply of submarines, military equipment and weapons. Submarine is of particular importance, though they are old submarines, but submarines are submarines. And construction of submarine base to supplement what is, submarine is supplied. Peace Ark hospital ship. It is slide in common context with regard to Peace Ark hospital ship. And PLA Navy ships visit for various things. This is the BNS Sheikh Hasina. When Sheikh Hasina was in power, she named the submarine base as Sheikh Hasina. Now, because she is out of power, they are trying to change the name to Shere Bangladesh something, but notwithstanding infrastructure which gets created. Now these two submarines are there. I think their names are Joy Jatra and Nava Jatra. Okay. They are very old submarines. We used to have equivalent like this Foxtrot class submarines. We can make out from the silver things on the bow. And they are not very reliable. That's why China is disposing them off. But all the same, it creates trouble for us because Bay of Bengal waters are deep and submarines can be very, very effective. So this is one point I wanted to highlight. Particularly, the submarine-based construction is much larger than what two submarines are expected to be berths or support for two submarines. So it does leave room for future use by China or maybe Bangladesh getting more submarines. Myanmar, same story. Two Ming type submarines were given, 035 class, and after that China started building a submarine base. That is a point of note. But otherwise, we all know construction of Chiaofu deep water port and Chiaofu Kunming oil and gas pipeline. There are reports of maritime and EW infrastructure at Coco Islands, listening posts, etc. Though there is no real corroboration of EW posts and listening posts, but with regard to the construction of and expansion of the airfield, that certainly is there at Coco Island. So I have just put it as a point, but I am not elaborating upon it because, but for want of a, I would say, confirmed information on this. And supply of submarines, military equipment, etc. This slide should tell the story. You have to see the slide first. Red line is not visible. The island on the left top, the island from which yellow and red lines are going, that is the Chiaofu Island. And the diagram on the right top, that is a blow up of the red thing. If you can see, it is a little not so visible. That is a submarine base which is being built. One submarine is there. There, so they are making a submarine base much larger than the requirement of 2 submarines. India tried to play a balancing kind of a game and gave them a Sindhu submarine of its own. But with these countries falling deeply into China's orbit, I don't know if it will be an asset for us or maybe one day we'll find a torpedo from Sindhu heading towards us only. But then you are MEA. What do you think? So it's a double-edged sword. Okay. The second point down below, the second down below left is the proposed base. Is a deep seawater port. Now between those 2 islands and a narrow channel, they want to make a Chiaofu deep water port over there. And this is the project has all been cleared, and it can be construction can be coming up anytime. And this on the right bottom is of course the representation of the Chiaofu Kunming oil and gas pipeline, which passes through the border at a place called Ruili. Maldives, very interesting case. Alternate political dispensations have been pro-China and pro-India. So when Mohammad Nasheed was there, he was generally seen as pro-India. Then Muhammad Wahid came. Muhammad is common in all. So Muhammad Wahid came, and Muhammad Wahid was anti-India and pro-China to the extent that and so many things happened. We'll not. Then Muhammad Abdullah Yamin, Abdul Gayoom came, previous Gayoom's I think son, and he was generally pro-India. And then Moizu came on the platform of India Out campaign. Okay, so when he came on India Out campaign, first visit he made to China in Jan 24, and 20 agreements were signed. The next slide shows some major important agreements. Notwithstanding, the last point is, as soon as Moizu came back, Xiang Yang Hong, as though it came on invitation straight away there. It's a deep sea research survey ship, and it remained in Maldives waters for good, I think 4 months. And if you all know the geography, mental geography, if you have, the Lakshadweep Islands and the islands of Maldives are one continuum. Okay, so if it is hanging around there, there are deep issues of maritime concern for India also. I showed you what Shriyan 6 did. Okay, coming to Colombo, but going deep into the Bay of Bengal. So if some ship is operating off Maldives, it can always be coming well closer to the Indian Ocean. Of course, keeping of UNCLOS or leveraging the loopholes of UNCLOS. So these are 20 agreements that I found. You see, agreements span all domains. If you call it dime, military is a little missing here, but diplomatic is there, informational is there. Informational, if you see, point number 7, cooperation between Maldives Public Service Media and Xinhua news agency. Xinhua, as we know, is pure Chinese state controlled. All are controlled, but Xinhua is particularly state controlled media. Okay, economy, whole lot of things. Okay, and roads, everything. Point is, where is the airport? I wanted to highlight that. Point number 6, expansion of Velena International Airfield This is the airfield from which India's GMR was also sent out. I was going to use kicked out, but it was sent out. Okay. Now you see various countries. Saudi Arabia is the main leader, which is trying to lead the project. What is the quantum of financial grants and other things given, investment? Saudi Arabia has, over the period of 10 years or 15 years, has given $252 million. Abu Dhabi, $90 million. OPEC as a body has given $50 million. Kuwait has given $50 million. Suddenly China comes in and says $373 million. Okay, total everybody else, China is giving more. Okay, so there is no chance. Now India, after of Sindoor, generally trying to get a positive sound bite from Maldives, has given $50 million. But $50 million compared to $370 million, I'll leave it to your judgment itself. Okay, so that is the point I wanted to highlight. The kind of hand-holding and the kind of economic investment and the kind of deep interest that they indulge in these countries. Peace Ark hospital ship I had talked about. I will just see Peace Ark hospital ship every 1 year or every 1.5 years. It goes all over the world. It plans its missions. And the missions to South and Southeast Asia are shown here. 2010, 13, 17, 24. It's not that missions didn't happen in between, but missions went to Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, because maritime power wants to be present in all global hotspots in the world. So for soft power diplomacy, various other missions have gone all over the place. Here, what is of relevance is the mission harmony of Peace Ark in the Indian Ocean and in the Southeast Asia. And if you see the last mission which got completed, Sri Lanka, of course, was there. Mission Harmony 2017, Sri Lanka was there. Mission Harmony 2013 was specifically for South Asia. And you find there Malé, you find Karachi, you find Chittagong, Yangon, and you, of course, find Mumbai also. And again, anecdotal, when the ship came to Mumbai, I did board the ship for a visit there, because 20 years time in China studies gives you that kind of a leeway. Whenever a Chinese ship comes to India, Indian port, at least I find my way there. So soft power diplomacy, nobody believes them, but they're still engaged in soft power diplomacy. So what are the adverse implications for India? Now the third point, this thing. Okay. Chinese space-based ISR assets can detect, identify and track Indian warships, including carrier formations. There are Yaogan series of satellites. In addition to Peitao, Yaogan is only for, it's a subject in itself. It's got various kinds of satellites from large area to narrower area to I would say electrical optic satellites, SAR satellites, but they're able to pick up all this for it. Peitao, I told you how useful they are. Pak UN submarines will go to create a huge problem for us, because they are AIP submarines. AIP is air independent propulsion, which allows them to be stealthy underwater for much more longer time than a regular conventional submarine. And similarity, if Chinese submarines are operating and Pakistani submarines are operating, you don't know, you want to prosecute a Pakistani submarine, you prosecute a Chinese submarine, there is a dimension of so-called escalative ladder is suddenly bypassed to a level where it goes somewhere else. So these are the things. With regard to Myanmar and Bangladesh, I highlighted the issues of submarines and submarine bases. Obviously, Bay of Bengal are deeper water, submarines can be very effective. It creates an all new front. Till now, we had to only worry about China, now we have to worry about Bangladesh and Myanmar itself. Okay, and hopefully not about Sindhuvir, which we have given to them. And use of Hambantota 99 years. Okay, if you have some confidential info, keep it to, don't tell us. Mine is from open domain.
Your entitled.
Yeah, use of
You have the mic.
yeah, use of Hambantota for erecting ISR infra, basing of Chinese Navy ships submarine. As of now, it's not there, but 99 years is a long time. It is 3 of our generations. So, 99 years, it's like as good as it's with them, and what they plan to do is only up to them. But it is a possibility, so I put it here. So this is the other slide I'm talking about. the other adverse security implications. If they are here, the Chinese ships and submarines are here, they bring certain capabilities. It is a known fact that whenever a Navy ship sails out of any country, it carries its full war complement. All missiles, all gun ammunition, all torpedoes, all rockets. So if the need be, it is fully ready for a combat role. If there are going to be 6 ships, top line ships, when I say 6, 3 in the anti-piracy deployment and 3 in no hurry to go back. Okay, then the kind of capabilities, it can be well imagined. There is another slide. I have not brought it here with regard to what capabilities these ships have, of the line ships. Then if the ships go all over the place, they go to Kankesanturai, they go to Chittagong. Obviously, they will constant Indian Navy space for free training and exercises till now. Now you have to cater for their presence and accordingly modify your exercise plans, operational plans, and maybe combat warfare plans as and when the requirement is there. In Bay of Bengal, we carry out our rocket and various tests, satellite launch tests. Longer distances, huge amount of communication over long distance. If Yuan is there, if the intelligence collection ships are there, they can always, they will do this kind of, I would say, monitoring, and which will come in handy for them during other times, during say wartime or other time. Indian Missile Space Program, same thing I just told you. Profiling of underwater hydrological conditions, very important if you want to go into the I would say subsurface warfare in wartime, because in tropical waters, the conditions generally favor the submarines. On top of that, if you have got this data, you can put it into the supercomputers. They will tell you hiding spaces, where submarine can be hiding below the layer, what can it be doing, what tactics. So it's a huge force multiplier which they are creating by collecting this data and maybe feeding it into a simulation system. Routing, navigation, familiarization around India, what we call recce. They are doing recce in peacetime. Okay, it's like I didn't do the recce coming to CENJOWS, so I went all over, I entered so many gates and finally landed up. In wartime, you have no this thing to get into a wrong gate. So in peacetime, they are doing this. Okay, all over the place when they are going. And Indian stock security, obviously, it's not only Chinese stock security, because Indians also getting the oil from same Persian Gulf ports, as well as from Angola, Nigeria, and other places. So our oil is also threatened. So India's response options. But this slide I found 3 or 4 days back in the newspaper. I couldn't help but show it here. What is actually Pakistan costing India in various parameters and various domains. Just give a half a minute because then I have nothing to say. I mean, it's a newspaper article, citation is there. You can read it on your own. But I found it so hard-hitting. Okay, when you put it in a comprehensive picture, it comes out like this. When you put it piecemeal, okay, some of the points you miss out. Okay. And then options, obviously, try and isolate, which we are doing, I would say, very well to our best, I would say, best abilities, using all the so-called dime approach. Perform is there. Okay, and clearly tell the red lines to our neighbors that these are our red lines, particularly with regard to this new narrative coming up with regard to chicken snake, how China can come in, how Bay of Bengal can be only accessed by China through Bangladesh, and another narrative is floating around that Lal Monirhat airfield of Second World War is being revitalized with Chinese help, which is only 40 kilometers from Chinese chicken snake. If they just say Lal Monirhat airfield, fine, but they are harping on the point of chicken snake. So this red line has to be clearly indicated to these people, and I'm sure it must be getting done to these people. And the visit of Chinese survey ships, we did it to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka acceded to our concerns. I would say agreed to our concerns, but maybe 1 year is a little less. We should be looking for it longer duration. MEA would be doing the reason, I would say, the needful. And interference in handling of India relations, Pakistan, not acceptable to us, and it should be told to all people. Bangladesh of all people is trying to interfere, and Colombo is trying to become a peacemaker. Forget about US. What I mean, US is trying to do, but we are talking about neighborhood here. So our neighborhood policy with regard to our headlines should be a little more clear. Maritime security architecture, Colombo Security Conclave, West Parties and Colombo Security Conclave, Maldives and India and Sri Lanka are very close partners with some observers. Possibly we'll have to revitalize the discussions in this and other forums. Try and keep China out. As of now, China is the observer in IONS and it is a dialogue partner in IORA. How we can push our interests in a zero-sum kind of a game? Why not? Okay, and then. This is a narrative we have been floating for some time, for last 4 or 5 years. Be a preferred security partner and first responder in case of HADR situations. We have been doing it, but for some reason, the countries have been accepting our, I would say, our benevolence and largesse. But when the crunch situation arrives, their conduct is found far from wanting. So again, it has to be pushed a little more. And explain pitfalls of China's jet diplomacy. These are all and provide military platforms and equipment. But the last 2 points are again, I said, double-edged sword. Some Bangladeshi and Pakistanis, as well as Maldives, people are getting trained in India, as well as they're getting trained in Pakistan. In fact, when we meet some of these people, we try and get information on what training did they try and get from Pakistan. But then they're also smart like us, so they don't tell us much. Okay. And then no country which is no country, however strong, can't do it on its own. But notwithstanding, these are just 3 points. Capability acquisition we have to get into in a big way. Whatever we have, still notwithstanding Atmanirbhar Bharat, Atmanirbharta is a parallel track. But for immediate requirements, we have seen that we are getting things from our friends and like-minded partners. Augment MDA, because only when you know the domain and its knowledge, then you can do something to address it. And of course, I just wrote a book on the Andaman Nicobar Islands, which somehow didn't come out in that thing. Maybe I didn't forward it. You have to use it as an eastern sentinel of India's maritime security. You are sitting astride a sea lane, and most of the traffic, including China's warships and submarines which are on the surface, are coming through Malacca Strait. We have to utilize it and use it. And I think the current dispensation is very well seized of this challenge, as well as the leveraging potential. And they are doing enough. Just case in point is that they have the Galathea deep sea transshipment terminal has been sanctioned. And when push comes to shove, if such a big maritime infrastructure is there, it can always be used for dual use or combat basing kind of thing. Proximity matters, and Andaman Nicobar, if it is developed to that level, obviously, if you are there, you can convince Bangladesh and Myanmar and other Bay of Bengal littorals much better. And last slide. No country, however strong, can do it all alone. So there is synergistic collaboration with the US for certain equipment, with EU countries, with Southeast Asian countries. Southeast Asian countries very important because the PLA Navy ship movements and activities, etc., including particularly Indonesia. If submarines want to come undetected and want to come underwater, they can only come through a certain Indonesian deep sea channel. And so Indonesia should be a very good partner. We are again trying to push our case. Indonesia is not playing ball, so US is also getting involved. But that is a must do. Okay. And finally, of course, with the Quad countries, one of the most important things relevant for this lecture is the IPMDA, Indo-Pacific Maritime Domain Awareness, because it gives a broader picture. Forewarned is forewarned. If we know that somebody is coming from China side and it has got some intentions with regard to India, Taiwan, etc. But Taiwan we are not including because Taiwan has got its own case. I finished my presentation. Sorry for extending it by another 10-15 minutes.